All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're talking NFL football, and it is finally here. It is the 60th. Yes, we have had 59 of these. We're at game number 60 of the Super Bowl. I'm joined by my co-host, Fresh, and join us all NFL playoffs on our producer, Drew. Gentlemen, we are finally here. Last football game of the season. It's kind of sad. Great game to be had.
It's crazy how fast we sit around from draft till training camp. It feels like it just drags and drags. May, June, half of July, and we're so obsessed with getting a preseason game, and then we hate preseason. Then the season's a blur, and now we're here at the Super Bowl. Just evaporates. But you know, enjoy it. We're gonna have fun because we're gonna have a long stretch of watching drills through the combine and draft pro days, and then the draft, and then nothing for a long time.
Yes, the
Yeah.
season flew by too fast as it always does. And yeah, let's enjoy this one game we got left.
Yeah. So this game's going to be taking place out in Santa Clara, California, 6:30 right now at time to record. The Seattle Seahawks are 4.5 point favorite. There's a bunch of prop bets out there, folks. So if you really want to have some fun with it, you can have a good time as long as you're responsible betting on the Super Bowl there. So let's dig into it, gentlemen, here. Seattle and New England, taking a look here. Number one seed in the Seahawks, and New England, number two seed?
Correct.
We got this way. I don't know. Drake Maye, Sam Darnold, two first-time quarterbacks playing in the Super Bowl here. Which one's going to have the better game? Let's just start with those two guys, because which one of these players are better suited for the stage of the Super Bowl?
Well, Drake Maye he's been bailed out by his defense all playoffs long. He's going to have to be real sharp because we've seen he didn't play that great versus Buffalo. Didn't play good at all versus the Texans, kept them in the ball game. He didn't really have to do anything versus the Chargers. And in the regular season, yeah, people are pushing for the MVP. If there was an AFC player, the offensive player of the year, maybe he gets that nod. I don't think so even in that case. He's shown flashes, but this offense it's very inconsistent. There are games where they'll put up tons of numbers. There's games where they come out looking sloppy. They didn't run the ball very well versus, the Broncos. The Broncos are a very good defense. It's just like Stephon Diggs does not scare me. He shows up one every 8 games. But they've gotten it done. They've made it this far. You could say their schedule has been easy, but they won the games that they had to win. They did what they had to do. Drake May made plays when he had to. But at the big game level, as they get more and more important, I've not seen him elevate his game. And that worries me about the Super Bowl because now there's the pressure. You have to show up. You can't go out there and go 2 picks and two tuds and complete 61% of your passes. At least a game of doubt right there. He's going to have to be really sharp. The receivers have to be sharp, but they're going to have to run the football to make sure he's successful and use his legs a little bit more than they have recently. Sam Darnold, having JSN makes it much more conducive to success. I think also one thing we're not going to think about is having Cooper Kupp on that roster. Super Bowl MVP when he played with the Rams. He has that experience of what it takes to win on the biggest stage. The Seahawks they play every year in San Francisco, in Santa Clara. So they know the stadium. They understand, the ins and outs of the wind and all that fun stuff. Like the extra things you don't think about, they're prepared for. Sam Darnold's looked much more confident this year. The offensive lines played well. They ran the ball to set up the pass. And he's playing with a team that has his back. And I think that also helped. Not to say that, Drake May doesn't have it, but for a guy that had the skills and been all through probably the most horrific, experience of a quarterback, you go from seeing ghosts to having, vanished to Carolina, bounce it around the NFL, get revived in Minnesota, and then come here. He's learned the hard way to have success. And it just seems like that offensive line, the receivers, the running backs, the tight end, the coaching staff are all playing in the same wavelength, and that allows him to be himself on game day. He doesn't have to shoulder it all, just make the right throw. The one thing, though, that will potentially weigh in against him is that Clint Kubiak is now going to be the head coach of the Raiders. Is Kubiak fully locked in to help him and coach him through this entire game when the moments go good and the moments go bad? Because both these quarterbacks are going to have good moments and bad moments. I expect Darnold to have more good than bad. But if he's not there really being that same mindset in the prep, that could lead to some less than shaky start from Sam Darnold and the Seahawks.
Yep. Well, I think it's going to be the Sam Darnold show. Darnold MVP, Seahawks Super Bowl. Then next year, I will be curious to see if anybody talks about Sam Darnold any different, or if they continue to default to the what if he falls back to the old Sam Darnold. But I think it's going to be all Seahawks. I think, Drake Maye will have a decent game, but Darnold will have the better game, and the Seahawks have the better defense overall. So
Drew, why do you think that is? Why do you think that people in NFL circles won't put some respect on Sam Darnold's name? Is it just the fact that he was so bad early on in his career that they don't want to give him credit for what he did last year in Minnesota and kind of discount that? Then he goes over to Seattle, first year head coach in Seattle, and then he leads the team all the way into the Super Bowl, #1 seed in the NFC. What is it that doesn't make people go, hey, that guy's really, really good?
for whatever reason, people are stuck to their first impressions more often than not. And even despite it's like, hey, he won the 14 games, but then the final game of the regular season and the first game exit became, it's the Sam Darnold effect. He'll never be able to get over it. And then you look at what he's been doing this year, and it's like, he did win 14 games last year also. And people were quick to forget it with the way it ended. And then to not even be picked up on a team that had multiple quarterbacks that found success this year, and they kept the one that didn't. But I just think that for whatever reason, if you get labeled a bust in your first 3 years, it almost doesn't matter what you do after that. The story's always going to come back to that initial reaction.
Well, to play off that, I mean, you guys both Browns fans. From an outside source, Baker was there. He gave everything he had to Cleveland, but there was always something lacking there that was just the support wasn't always around. And that kind of also messed with him mentally. He's like, I'm doing what I got to do. Things aren't always perfect. And he leaves, he rotates to Carolina along the same Darnold, both on the same team, and does, a spot start out there a couple times in LA for the Rams, and kind of finds his love for the game again and kind of revives his confidence, goes down to Tampa and just takes off. Uh, is almost but everything between the ears just as much as your athletic ability. You've got to be able to mentally be able to function with the play calls, the stress, the outside noise, keeping everybody in the offense happy, being in sync with the coaches. It's a little bit different than just being a left tackle or a right tackle, a running back or a tight end. You get all the pressure. You've got to be able to deliver. And these quarterbacks, Sam Darnold starting out with the Jets, who have historically been, they are the worst professional franchise in North American sports. And there's not
Cleveland would
much
like something to say.
Cleveland's actually been to the playoffs more recently, I believe, than the Jets. And that is actually, it's a fact. The Jets are an epic disaster, and having to go through there, deal with that media, suffer through the pain, admit, he had a growing pain, admitting he saw ghosts and realizing, oh boy, I can't let people know that, I'm that fragile. He had to have a complete reclamation project. So everyone still goes back to that, to Drew's point. The guy saw ghosts. He flamed out. He was throwing terrible passes. He looked, lost every single time he stepped on the field. They don't look at the journey to the very bottom and then building up his confidence and coming back and having now on the other side, better players around him to help him also be successful. Success breeds success. If I have a guy running a wrong route and I throw a bad pass, I'm getting the trash for the interception. But if a receiver makes a great play and catches the ball, it's a catch and a completed pass on the stat sheet. You also have to have the players to help you, be successful and grow. And he's gotten that when he's, one completion after another becomes all right, 2, then 4, then 6 completions. You feel better about yourself. Things start feeling normal and you're not in that dark cloud. Sam Darnold's been coached up, he's grown up, and he will have always that Jets, mantra hanging over him. But the success, if he can go out here and keep building on this now, I think he has a chance to really overcome that and erase it. And become a great sign for one thing that we've talked all about a lot is quarterback development in the NFL is terrible. And sometimes we rush these guys from draft day, first round pick to becoming a starter and expecting them to go 9-8, and play and play in a playoff game. It takes time. It's not playing quarterback in the NFL is very, very, very difficult. And sometimes it takes time to get comfortable in the role and grow and be around players who are going to help you also be successful.
Yeah. I think you brought up a point with Baker there. In multiple interviews, but even admitted they wasn't mature enough to handle the situation that was going on in Cleveland. Like Baker just thought all I had to do was be the tough guy in the room, and he played through a gnarly shoulder injury in his non-throwing shoulder, and it really impacted him through that. And, he didn't do all the great things behind the scenes. There's alleged stories about conflict between him and Myles Garrett. And you wind up seeing him trade to Carolina, like you mentioned, on their Sam Darnold. He doesn't even stick around in Carolina. Like, goes off to LA, doesn't really even stick around there, goes to Tampa, backs up Brady. I think that's the difference where he got a chance to learn is both these guys really had to fall flat on their face and mature and go, you know what? I can pick myself up and I can work and get better. Like the physical traits are there with each quarterback here. And I take a look at someone like Daniel Jones, who's out there, who, again, everything was thrust upon him with the New York Giants. They realized, hey, this guy isn't the guy. He played the one college season at Duke. Was he the one college season? And then winds up being, a savior. And he did play better with Indianapolis this past season here. So you kind of like want to have some hope that Daniel Jones is going to kind of take the same path as these two guys. Drake Maye, though, again, his playoff play has not been the greatest there, but again, they won football games. At the end of the day, at the end of Sunday, if the Patriots have played a great defensive game and Drake May has thrown 2 picks, but the Patriots have one more point than the Seahawks, no one's going to care if you played like dog crap. You still won a
Well,
Super
and to
Bowl.
that point, like, and Seth, you're a big proponent of this. America loves an underdog. They love that
Yes, I do.
revival project. Yeah, like Kurt Warner. Like Kurt Warner was the guy off of nowhere, shows up, he gets himself a chance and takes advantage of it. You're seeing Sam Darnold take advantage of the opportunity. And both these teams coming into the year, it was the Rams and 49ers out west. Amongst some other teams of the NFC. The Seahawks weren't really getting talked about. Brady, Mike McDonald's a new coach, great, whatever. Sam Darnold had great success with, O'Connell in Minnesota. No Justin Jefferson. How's he going to react and grow? The Patriots have been god awful for the past couple of years. Mike Vrabel comes back, but how are they going to get themselves back to being a really good football team that quick? Yes, their schedule was very conducive to potentially having, maybe 9 or 10 wins, but they have been much better than that. And both these teams have revived. These aren't the Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Seahawks, Patriots. These are completely different teams. And that's where it's also refreshing. It's no Eagles. It's no Chiefs. It's no
Mhm.
49ers in the Super Bowl. These two teams have come from different angles, built their franchises, and made great runs in their own unique way. That's gonna make this game much more entertaining to watch, is because there is the previous versions, the previous regimes, if you will, are gone, and these are clean slates.
Yeah. All right. Well, I got to ask the other question here. As much as we want to talk about quarterbacks, and they're always going to get like the most attention here, talk Jaxon Smith-Njigba here. Amazing regular season. The dude has shown up huge in the playoffs. I think we need to ask the question, is he now challenging Puka and Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase as the best receiver in the NFL? Is he top 3? Is he in the top 3? Is he the best? Where's JSN sit in this matter?
Drew, I'll let you go first.
Ooh, I mean, it's a tough question. It's hard to argue against him with the season he's had. I think I would still probably rank Puka number 1, and then I would put JSN 2 and Justin Jefferson 3 if I had to pick them for a team right now. The interesting thing about it, at least in the recent years and everything with Jefferson, is it's like you had Jefferson obviously had his run and he's still one of the best receivers. He's lacking a quarterback now. And then now with JSN, it's like really is the best receiver tied to Sam Darnold. He's had one of the top receivers the last couple of years outside of Matt Stafford, who also, prior to Puka had Cooper Kupp and basically always had one of the top 3 receivers in the league. So maybe Sam Darnold is a guy that, you give him a top receiving talent and he elevates him to top 3.
Well, I think the biggest difference there, you're talking about the best receivers. They're not all the same. Like Jefferson and Chase are perimeter receivers. They are your traditional. We're on the edge. We are going to run our route. But you look at Puka, and I think even a ball from Cooper Kupp before, like Wes Welker, even Edelman back in the day, tennis following that same path where he could play outside, but his success is being schemed open in multiple ways, where they're using the backfield, perimeter, slot, bunched together. It's how do I put him in spots to become lethal, where he becomes the number 1 guy in any kind of formation. And you see that with Puka, you see that with him, especially in that when they played in the playoffs, both those guys were all over the formation. There's not like you're the X, you're the Y, you're the Z receiver. You are A, B, C, D, E. You're the full alphabet. And there was great commentation as well, where both those guys on drives were both put in the backfield as the running back. And as you watch the game, Tom Brady's like, every time both those receivers have been put in the backfield, it's a passing play to them. And somehow they scheme both of them open in complete passes for 15, 20 yards. So it's maybe also have to evolve it is the coaching putting these playmakers who have tremendous ability in spots to get them open by using the formations to expose the defense to let them get their extra step free, make the connection, the quarterback and them are on the same page, boom, catch, go. And then after the reception, they are making bigger plays with their legs. But all in all, we are in a complete renaissance of the passing game in the NFL and in football in general. It's not the same. You have three receivers, they run their stick routes, and that's it. The evolution, the ever evolving scheming of the receivers, getting them open, using different, option routes. It's tremendous, but JSN is definitely, top three. But I, I want to see him continue to keep growing. The size is also kind of worse to be compared to guys. Like, can he go up for a ball and high point it? He makes great plays in space. He makes great plays in traffic. I think the next one we want to see is can he high point a ball and become that vertical threat, down the field and up, obviously, from that perspective in the red zone.
I still think back to that old interview with Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and JSN. And Olave and Garrett Wilson were first round draft picks, like when they left high school. They go, which one of you is the best in the wide receiver room? And both of those guys pointed at JSN, who was only a freshman at the time, like, this is the dude there. I've been just so impressed with him. He jumps off the screen. That's the thing I'm always looking for. Who jumps off the screen? Who do you notice, like, how crisp their routes are, how precision they have when they place the ball, like going and get where they can kind of control what the cornerback or the linebacker or the safety can do in order to kind of try to defend the pass. And I think JSN, especially if you take a look at that last touchdown they scored in the Rams game there, it was just a perfect route running with him. So go ahead, Presh.
That actually brings me to the point where on the other side, Christian Gonzalez is top five, top three corner in the league.
Right.
How are the Patriots going to match him up strictly? Hey, you're on JSN, or are they going to keep it scheme wise? That is what I think the biggest question is. If you take Gonzalez, it also works in Seahawks' favor. If Gonzalez is following JSN all day, then I know I'm going against the rest of that secondary, which may or may not be. They have skills, they've grown. Like Carlton Davis on their side is pretty solid, but he's no Christian Gonzalez. But how do you take advantage of those matchups, and how does the Patriots defense, line up that way and go about their game plan?
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing I want to ask you guys here, and I'll start with Drew on this one. Mike, just blank on his name, McDaniel.
Vrabel?
No,
Mike McDonald.
McDonald. Thank you. I was sitting there. Mike McCarthy came to my mind for a second there, but I don't know why.
You're thinking about the Steelers. It's okay. You're thinking about the Steelers.
Seriously. Mike McDonald there. First year as a coach there. But then you look at Vrabel. Yeah, it's his first year with the Patriots, but the dude has coached in Super Bowls. He has played in the Super Bowl there. Now he's the head guy running the show for this one. I know on paper it looks like Seattle has every single advantage, or we'd say like, okay, you win this advantage here. But I think clearly the coaching advantage is got to stick there with New England. How big of an advantage is it having Vrabel on the sideline versus McDonald here, who's in his first go round as a head coach?
Well, it's not just Vrabel. It's McDaniel. You had another former Patriot offensive coordinator, head coach of the NFL, run the sidelines, calling plays. Both of the continuity there of that veteran coaching staff helps this young football team. Now you're seeing that success where the young kids, because this is a young Patriots team, they have some veterans, but they have some young guys. Like, hey, look at us. We've had success. We've done this before. Trust when I'm coaching you and telling you what to do. Trust me, I have your best interest. The defensive staff, obviously, the coordinator coming into the season, he has cancer treatment all year long. The guys are playing for him. He's not calling plays, but the number two on the staff is calling the plays the entire season. He's coming back this week. That defense is going to play for him. And then Vrabel being a defensive guy obviously helps, but there's just a continuity of these guys being interchangeable and respecting the coaches because they've been through it. And to your point, when you get on that field, success in prior games doesn't matter. It's what you do that day between those lines on that in that environment. who has that why factor deep down that's going to make you go the extra yard, run the extra, half yard, make the extra play, take the extra snap, and not tap yourself out and come out and play. That is that want to, that have to, kind of the rookie of the year. Like, what's the have to? Who has that deep down desire? And the young guys, if they're hungry, they can maybe believe, even if Vrabel lies to them, they'll believe the line. They'll play harder for them and makes them difficult. That Patriots defense has been, dominant all season long. They force turnovers, they get after you. If they get a couple, plays, that, short fields for the offense, or get a couple of, return for touchdowns, they're in great shape. You look back at the AFC title game at Denver, the fact that, they didn't kick the field goal, go up 10-0, gave them a huge break, but they made the stop on fourth down anyway. And then they, have the stupid quarterback make an unorthodox fumble. They recover it. Boom. First down. Patriots get the offense going. Before they know it, they're winning the ball game. So the defense keeps them in ball games. They play physical. They hit you, and they're going to get takeaways. If they could do that to the Seahawks, it gives them a chance. And they believe that they can win. And that's where you go from there.
Yeah, and similar to under the Bill Belichick era, under Mike Vrabel, I think the Patriots are going to not make any mistakes to lose the game necessarily. So it's going to be close because they do have a solid defense as well. And, so if Vrabel does have a slight coaching edge, I don't think it's going to be too impactful in this one game scenario, because I think if there's anything I've learned this season, it just feels like the Seahawks are the team of destiny. And then similarly, though, it does feel that way about the Patriots on the AFC, but I just think that, the Seahawks could make multiple mistakes and still win this game. The Patriots are one mistake away from being out. And so I just think Seahawks are too much.
I mean, watching that Texans game, if that was anybody else, that team takes over and all those Drake Maye mistakes come back to bite them. If that was, and even then, there's still a ball game at the very end. So they've been very fortunate. They're going to have to play a perfect game. And that's where it comes back to the maturity level of Drake Maye. Is he ready for the biggest stage? Because now the entire world is watching. And you're going to see celebrities everywhere. You're going to see the pressure of I'm in the Super Bowl. Are you ready for it? Some of the greatest quarterbacks in the world have showed up on the biggest stage and made plays. And some other players have made boneheaded mistakes in the Super Bowl that nobody would ever make in any other game they've ever played.
All right, guys. So let's talk here. Some guys we haven't talked about as well. I know we've kind of bounced around back and forth. We'll start with you, Drew. Give me 2 X factors, one for each team that isn't a player that we've spoken about. Who for Seattle could be a big time player, and who for New England could be a big time player that isn't, a well-known name guy or a guy that you really think could really change this game and tilt it one way or another.
Yeah, I think on the Seattle side, Kenneth Walker will be huge. I know, he's another big name, but that's one we haven't talked about yet. I think if Seattle can get some momentum going on the ground and they can control the clock, that's going to be to their advantage. And then on the Patriots side, I would say, on the wide receivers, Booty, he shows up now and then. And if he can make a couple of big plays when it matters, because the Patriots are going to need offense, the Seahawks are going to be able to score some points. So it'll be interesting to see where they get it from. Fresh mentioned earlier, Diggs shows up once in a while, but he hasn't been consistent. So it'll be interesting to see where the plays come from for the Patriots.
For me, I think Nick Emanwari, the safety for the Seattle Seahawks, number one, he's got to keep his eyes locked in and play smart because Drake Maye has legs and Drake Maye is going to move out of the pocket. He can't let anyone drip behind him. He's also going to have to deliver the wood. There's going to be guys cross the middle. He's got to be the enforcer, kind of take that king and chancellor role. It's not the Legion of Boom. They have their own different nickname, but he's going to have to be locked in himself. And if he can make a couple hits early and play disciplined football as a safety, it's going to take away some of his, Drake Maye just running all around or one of those receivers you just mentioned getting loose. But if he's locked in and doesn't let the moment get too big for him, help that Seattle defense get off the field. And then for the Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson, he's got to run hard and be able to keep, grinding away, especially in those second and third downs, keeping those drives alive. Because if that offense can sustain drives and wear down Seattle and keep that lethal offense on the sideline, it's going to be most likely to be Stevenson grinding out those big time carries. So if he can get that and not fumble in key moments, could deliver. You think of like a 2-yard run here or a 2-yard run there. It keeps the drive alive. It keeps the clock going, especially in the second half. he's going to have to show up big for the Patriots in that offense. And every quarterback loves the run game.
All right, gentlemen, it's that time. Give me a pick, Super Bowl MVP. Who wins it? What's the score? Who wins the MVP?
Seahawks win 34-24. Sam Darnold MVP.
Drink?
Yep. I'm going to also go Seahawks win. I'm going to say 30-10.
Wow.
Woo. Hey, I'm okay. Seahawks cover either way. I'm okay.
Yep.
Who's your
Darnold MVP.
MVP? Darnold MVP here.
Darnold.
All right. What's the one prop bet you guys will be betting on for the Super Bowl? What's
JSN
the one?
anytime touchdown.
JSN anytime touchdown?
Lock it in.
Tails.
Tails. Coin flip is going to be tails here.
Tails never fails.
I love it. All right. One last question. All right. We'll do this real quick. We'll play a team. CBS, I don't know if either one of you saw this today. CBS ranked the top 25 Super Bowl commercials of all time. Can you guess what they had rated? All right, I'll say this. I'll either let you pick exactly the commercial or the company that was in that was number one.
I'm gonna say Doritos or Pepsi.
I'm gonna guess Budweiser.
It was a Budweiser commercial. Yes, Budweiser made number one of all time. Number two is Betty White Snickers. And number three is the 1984 Apple commercial. I still don't get why that one is always rated in the top five. Like,
it had to have been just so
revolutionary for the time.
Revolutionary at the time. Yeah, like this is like, oh my God, what's happening?
Right. I'd rather have the like Jordan versus Bird, like nothing but net commercial than that one.
McDonald's.
Yep. But which Budweiser commercial is number one? Which one do you think it is?
It's either going to be the Clydesdale or the Frogs. I'm going to say it was the Frogs.
Frogs came in at number 6. Clydesdales came in at number 14 with the Clydesdale Instant Replay. Was the first Clydesdale one for that one.
So it was neither of those.
Neither one.
Bud Bowl?
Is the Budweiser was the commercial.
Oh,
was rated as number. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. The most.
Were you looking at the most annoying commercials?
Right. Seriously. Although I gotta admit though, and I know we've talked about this prior, like not enough love because although he did make top 10, still to me the best NFL Super Bowl commercial of all time is the Reebok Terry Tate Office Linebacker commercial. Like by far, kids, if you have not seen Terry Tate Office Linebacker, go on YouTube after you're done watching this video and check out Terry Tate Office Linebacker. The best thing in the world on that one.
It was very well done. It also, anytime they have these lists, it always makes me wonder,
subjective.
Like, who is actually voting on the top 25 of these commercials? And are they, and they probably are, being influenced by certain companies to make that one top commercial? So I always see these polls like, well, I didn't vote in that poll, so that did not actually encompass a larger population. There's always going to be some commercials every year that are going to catch you like, wow, that was actually really funny. And then we're always going to get to ones that like, that was absolutely horrific. And you spent that much money for that trash.
Right. I don't know, man. The last couple of years, I can't think of one over the last couple seasons that has really stood out to me that was so memorable. I think like late 90s, early 2000 was like the peak.
That was clutch. Like they're getting away from like entertainment commercials now, like funny ones. They're just rolling out products. Like, okay, they put a celebrity in, like, all right, whatever. It's not, let's be creative, let's be funny. You know, let's really try to captivate the audience when they're actually watching the game.
Right. Hey, one thing we've got some hope for is Dos Equis has brought back the most interesting man in the world, so maybe he's going to have a good Super Bowl drop coming up.
That is good.
I'm hoping
that
so.
Is a good point.
Yeah. I mean, even the Betty White commercial for Snickers is from 2010. Like, I'm just looking at all of this. Like, none of these commercials in the top 10 are. 2011 is the most recent one. It's the Volkswagen with the kid dressed as Darth Vader.
That was really funny.
Yeah.
That was really good.
That's the most recent one there. So, like, I don't know.
Did the Doritos magic snow globe thing that they throw through the machine, did that make the list?
Hold on, let me see if I'm looking at that. I'm trying to find here.
The kid's like, Danny, you're so old.
No, it's the pug attack where he runs through the door, where the guy's standing at the door with the Doritos. That was
Yeah.
the only Dorito, and it's number 25. Shame.
No, they
CBS, do
had some
better.
good ones.
Dang. Do better.
CBS, do better, because this is not, no,
Yeah, I mean,
not
even
that.
with the Budweiser commercials, they had them out of order.
Right,
The Was Up commercial should have been the third out of those three.
right.
There's
Seriously.
some shenanigans going on right now. Yeah, there's really some shenanigans. This is some
Well,
nonsense.
they need to bring back the Bud Bowl. For those of you old
Bud
enough
Bowl's
to
good.
remember the Bud Bowl between
Bud
Budweiser and
Light
Bud
was
Light.
Budweiser.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or Bud Ice with the penguins. And those just a random penguin just standing there with the Bud Ice in its hand, like
Just
doobie doobie
chilling.
doo. And I'm like, what is this? And you're just, all right.
Those are the kind of commercials that bring you in, man.
Right, because you'll remember them. And that's the other thing too, like you gotta be memorable with this stuff. Like, we see so many things, get so many advertisements for attached to our phones or laptops or whatever device you have right now that's in front of you. And you see commercials all the time, like listen, you gotta catch my interest. You have to lock me in.
No
Yeah.
doubt. You have 30 seconds. Make it count.
All right. Fresh, can you name one Bad Bunny song?
Who? What?
That's who's performing for the halftime show.
I think I just answered that question.
Yeah, won a
No,
Grammy the other day for album of the year, I think, right?
I have no clue who it is or what they produce or sing. I
Drew,
couldn't tell you.
can you name a Bad Bunny song?
Nope.
Neither can I. So we got that going for us, which is nice. Well, hey,
It's time to it's
Not for
halftime,
us.
yeah, well, hopefully there's good commercials during the halftime show and we'll be okay.
like, listen, they haven't caught, well, a couple years ago when they had the Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Eminem one, that wasn't that
That
bad.
was worth it. That was
That
pretty good.
that was our generation of music. So I guess we're just the grumpy old men now. Like, this is our music. I remember back in the day when they played good music at the Super Bowl halftime show.
We're getting there. I like that. That's what
We
need to
are.
be.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, it's been a blast. One heck of a football season here. But before you go anywhere, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, get notified every single time we drop a new episode, and Fresh drops a new episode of the Power Alley podcast. He'll let you know why hats for bats keep bats warm and why that is
Especially this
important
time
when
of
it
year.
comes for spring training. And it's very bad to steal Joe Boo's rum. So make sure you're locked in, because if you're like me and don't pay attention to baseball all year long, it's what you need to listen to catch yourself back up. Get yourself ready for the baseball season. And we're going to have more draft coverage. We're going to get you ready for the NFL draft, for college football, and the NFL crossover, culminating in the full first round mock draft that we'll have a couple of other guests join us for. Make sure you're checking out spinnablesports.com, because the Irrational Confidence podcast is part of spinnablesports.com. Special thanks to our producer, Drew, for joining us. Without him, none of this is possible. So make sure you're following him on the social medias. Follow all of us on social medias. Gentlemen, that's all I got for the day. It's a great one. Super Bowl Sunday. Let's eat some food, watch some football, because we're going to be waiting for it for a long time after this one.
That's a fact. Hit us up on Twitter/X at Spinnable Sports, at IR Confidence Pod, and as Seth mentioned, my podcast at Power Alley Pod, Spinnable Sports YouTube channel, spinnablesports.com. Tons of great content there for draft and for everything else. Hit us up. We got a lot of great content coming at you guys in the spring as we get closer to the NFL draft and beyond. Maybe even a special interview or two. But until next time, we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all.